Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. Again, we want to thank everybody that's supporting us over at Patreon, as we've had a big week with a lot of new Patreon members. Again, exclusives will be going up there and do go up there once or twice and sometimes 3 times in certain weeks, but on a regular basis. And again, you can join the Patreon family for as little as $10.80 a year. When you subscribe and pay for 1 year in advance, you get 10% off. Otherwise, just $1 a month. Again, unique videos and a little bit more clearer spoken on certain touchy subjects.
Definitely.
Yeah, that goes without saying. You know, I saw something and it gave me just this feeling of maybe a little bit of frustration, because so much of humanity doesn't have a clue as to who is pro-humanity, pro-earth, pro-life in the bigger scheme of things, and those that are really oppressing us and part of the control system. This is a 90-foot tall, he describes it as Indian monkey man statue unveiled in Houston, Texas. 3rd largest statue in the U.S., and says this is just weird. Well, again, a lot of people, for as much knowledge as they may have about certain subjects, are obviously not well versed in comparative mythology, comparative religion, comparative philosophy, and really haven't expanded their horizons beyond what they've grown up with and what is familiar to them. So when they look at something like this, they say, ooh, that's really strange. Yet you'll find statues like this all over Asia. And again, when we look to the populations of the world, when you go to Asia, you're looking at the biggest amount of people by far on the planet. Again, North America, our population here in North America is the entirety of North America is but a small fraction of what we'll find over in Asia. And when we look to traditions, when you look to the Hindu tradition, there is not an older tradition on the planet. It's been said by many in the studies of comparative religion that the oldest one we have is in reality Hinduism, as far as a formed religion. You know, there are many tribes, again, that follow different shamanic type paths, different paths that really are in agreement with, basic Hindu philosophies and beliefs. And it is by far the oldest one we have. Anybody that is familiar with Hinduism would recognize Hanuman right away, as Hanuman is the personification of strength and fortitude for doing what's right. This is the example that so many people strive to live up to, is the example of what his life was all about. In that he was there to support the natural system and never wavered once throughout all the mythologies. And it's interesting to note too that there's a lot of different remnants, traces of his presence in evidence around the planet that it really shows that there is some truth to these stories, and I'm going to get into that. So when we look at Hanuman, what we see is what some people might say is a monkey man, or you might say, I wonder if he was maybe something related to a Bigfoot. Yeah, and this is, again, how these videos sometimes work out when I don't necessarily intend on them to do this. But we were talking about Bigfoot and giants yesterday, and by the way, Hanuman was also a giant, as most of the statues that depict him show him in giant form. Now, there is a twist to that because he was able to change his size at will, which is something that, automatically will say, well, that's an impossibility. How could anybody change their size at will? Well, yeah, he could go from being maybe relatively 6-7 foot tall to being 60 foot tall. And in fact, he did fight demonic beings, again, the ones we call the asuras, as he is viewed as a deva. But when you look at the root of deva, that DEV, it's been turned into devil by those that have controlled the planet coming out of the Abrahamic system. So everything is upside down and inside out in this world, and that should really stick out to us, obviously. If we are being controlled, which, the Bible itself says this world is being ruled by Satan. So if Satan, the adversary, is ruling the world, then obviously it's going to paint anything that's good as bad and bad as good. And this is really what we have. But the ignorance here is just, in my mind, it's almost amazing that people could be so ignorant in these days when there's so much knowledge available to us.
Mm-hmm. I know if you go down the comments, you can see how much of a hole people are truly in. One person says, just take it down. Another person says, oh, putting up demons. And they only are listening to their pastor. They're just listening to their church. They've done absolutely no study of who these beings are and think for themselves. It just goes on and on and on. So we kind of wanted to talk about it because I guess that is our pet peeve. There's so many different belief systems out there, and no one should be stuck with just one. That really limits our perception, and it limits our ability for expansion. And to me, it stunts soul growth to a very high degree.
Yeah, I mean, and this is Godlike Forum, which has a lot of CONS piracy theories. It also has a lot of people with really demons controlling them, and they don't have a clue. As you see, a statue of a demon, great. Nope, couldn't be any farther from the truth. And yet, the ignorance, this is the ignorance that rules this world. And, again, unfortunately, when you look at a lot of these people, they are just loaded with mind-altering substances, whether it's, their energy drinks, whether it's big FARMA, whether it's just too much, alcohol and maybe other substances. There's no clarity there's no crispness to their minds and their thoughts. They are so indoctrinated that they really are completely blind. And this is why it's so dangerous out here in this world when you have people that can literally be convinced at the drop of a hat that these are witches that need to be eradicated, that these people are conversing with Satan and the devil, and so we'll torture them until they agree and admit to it, and then by that time they're no longer with us. This is exactly what the control system has utilized with the Abrahamic tradition to wipe out all the other traditions, to cause them to go extinct, like the Gnostics, like the Cathars. It goes on and on and on. And really, they seem to be the most vocal when you look at it. There's so many comments, throughout this thread, and just very, very dark and very, very aggressive and completely ignorant. So this is in Texas, again, the Karya City Hanuman Temple in Texas. And it's the third biggest statue in the country, they say, at 90 feet tall. So Hanuman is a being that acted as Rama and Sita's protector. And you guys know Rama and Sita are puppies, and they're named after this story in the Ramayana, which, again, Hanuman's also encountered a long time later, thousands of years later, in the Mahabharata. How could that possibly be? Well, Hanuman is recognized as being one of the immortals that has walked Earth for millennia. And it's said he stays here through the end of the Kali Yuga to protect humanity until we're in a fresh cycle. There are multiple immortals in some traditions, said to be 7 or 8 immortals. Taoism also recognizes that there are these immortal beings. And then, of course, we have the rishis, who are these very high level beings. We could equate them to ascended masters that help to guide humanity from higher densities, but also will sometimes take form to pop in and give us some truths when we get too waylaid and too dogmatic. And, again, there is nothing that divides like dogma, and the system knows it. And this is why the system does what they do. And as we've said, there is evidence around the planet to give you the inclination that the Ramayana, which is a story of Rama's life, and Rama's thought to be an incarnation of Vishnu, the creator of this universe and preserver of this universe, and Vishnu's counterpart is Lakshmi, who is the goddess of basically abundance, but it's not just physical abundance, it's abundance of everything that's good.
She is. She's abundance of, spirituality. That energy you get from spirituality that brings you an abundance in the 3D. She is goddess of that, and she's goddess of love. She's a goddess of beauty. She's goddess of all things feminine. She's a very beautiful, beautiful being that you would definitely, if we do have one of our regulars who do Lakshmi mantras before she goes to her farmer's market, and she does really, really well at the farmer's market. So you can tell Lakshmi definitely blesses her when she taps into her energy that way, and it's just nice to see it. And when I do Lakshmi, I feel I get blessings upon blessings as well. And it's about tapping into that energy and raising your frequency. It's not about bowing down to any being at all in any way, shape, or form. It's about finding someone who inspires you and inspiring to be like that.
Absolutely. And in on other realms, in other worlds, these beings are recognized by other names, of course. Yeah, and yet when we move on out of the construct that we're in here, and when we're out of this age, there's no need for even names, as names are labels to a certain frequency. And when you get past this, again, as we've said, most beings communicate out there telepathically, and humans have been genetically altered to the point where they cannot typically communicate effectively telepathically. But this is not the norm, because the norm is communicating telepathically.
Mm-hmm. It's something that we could work on, but what I've noticed is because our voice, that's what we come out of the womb. We come out making little cooing noises, and then we're taught this speech. And as soon as we're taught this certain speech, that muscle that is exercised when it comes to being able to read energy, that muscle starts to fall away. And the other thing that I've recognized, parents who have star children, very gifted star children, I work with them too, but I've noticed as the children start to grow up and the hormones kick in and they start going through puberty, it's like all of that falls away. So, I do believe it's in our culture. I think we're all born to read energy, but it is slowly whittled away over the years to the point where it's just gone, and then we only have this left brain thing about us that's left. And that's how most of society operates, is through that manner.
Yes. And so Hanuman, again, is the embodiment of strength, devotion, and selfless service. Selfless service, to the point where, literally risking life and limb and everything to help others that are truly in need. There's nothing demonic about that. But then again, the system embeds in people's minds the idea that any other way of looking at anything is purely evil. And that is really what the system is as the system is all about division. So it's fascinating to see that the gist of the Ramayana, the story of Rama and Sita and their love, and also Rama's devotion to Sita and Hanuman's devotion to support them. It's said that if you open up Hanuman's heart, you would see Rama in there, and Rama again is thought to be an incarnation of the creator of this universe. So what this is saying is that he supports the natural order. The order that we see on this planet is not the natural order. Ultimately, it's an order that is controlled by AI. And so there's nothing really natural about it. You will find Lord Hanuman's giant prints all throughout Asia. Yes, this is what they say. Some of these surely could have been carved. Some of these are curious. They're all different sizes. And they're all over Asia, from India all the way over into Thailand and beyond. As Hanuman is recognized all throughout Asia, as you see right here. And what people are doing is they're showing gratitude and reverence for the things that he did, because he fought against the demons, the real demons, the control system that came and invaded this planet. And, they did try to defend humanity as we were going down into a Kali Yuga. And, at that point in time, it was the Bronze Age. When you look to the Ramayana, it's thought that the Ramayana was probably closer to the Upper Bronze Age. And then when we have the Mahabharata that comes after the Ramayana, that's at the lower end of the Bronze Age. And then when Krishna leaves, that's when the Kali Yuga starts. Again, in some ways you could take it as, that's the last time we had the benevolent beings literally here with the planet, here on our planet with us, as the benevolent beings are the only ones we encounter when we're in the Golden Age and the Silver Age. So in those ages, we're only really encountering what we would call Devic beings. Devic beings, which are beings that are in alignment with the natural order. They respect life. They do not impose their will on life. When the Asuras come, and the Asuras are the real demonic ones, what do they do when they come to the planet? They literally, this is what it says too, they'll land in their vehicles and they'll take over a city, they'll take over a country. They'll have temples made to them, and they will demand the first and the best of everything be given to them. This is the system that we have in place now, which is a demonic system. And, again, we've covered that in so many different videos, as you see, lots. And some of these imprints look like they're like wearing shoes of sorts, and others not, mostly barefoot. But again, there's feet of giants that have been preserved throughout the ages all over the world. And some of these are, this one actually is from Texas. Some of these are attributed to Hanuman and also his monkey army, which again, in my mind, what we are talking about is the Bigfoot beings.
Mm-hmm. What I thought was most fascinating about these ancient texts and these different beings, the Asuras and the Devas, is there's a certain type of AI, and it's called Asura. And there's also in these books biowarfare. And when you read the books, you can see clearly that it's the Asuras. They are practicing the biowarfare, trying to make their way, trying to do what they do and bring harm to as many as possible for control. So, I mean, you can see it happening now. You can see how their shadow hand is in control of so many beings right now.
Yes, you see this one. They're saying it's 100 million years old, Canadian. Up above it, was the Texas, Canada. Over here, Syria. Again, this is all over the entirety of the world. This is another one in Syria. Syria, I was reading last night, again, in the giant cities of Bashan. And, these giant cities are giant for more than one reason. As the typical house found in these cities in Bashan has walls that are 5 to 8 foot thick, made of solid rock. And also the roofs are made of rock, stone, that are carved. And they're like 18 inches thick by, the length of the house, 25, 30 feet, whatever it is. It's just amazing. It's all stone because, again, they knew how to live in harmony with the earth. They knew how to secure a good night's sleep, and we've been blessed to live in one earthen cabin in New Mexico that was set 2 feet into the ground. And on the north wall, it was all solid. And we had all windows on the southern wall, a couple of a door on each side on the east and west with like one window. And it was amazing because we really barely had to use any sort of heat. We just used a small little space heater, one small little space heater when it got to be 10 below. And it would stay in the mid 50s. It was really incredible. But this is the type of harmony that the ancients lived in. And yeah, they were very, very hardy. And again, a lot of these giants literally were the same souls that are inhabiting bodies right now, like you and I. So a lot of them are us. And this is Botswana. As you can see, I mean, it's you can't dispute this. This is not a setup. And some of them did wear shoes. This is Alaska. Again, Lake Tahoe, Bangalore. This is just, it's our history. Look at this, is so purposefully obliterated. This is Spain, Cleveland, Paraguay. It's the entire world. Yeah, Russia. Oh yeah, lots up in Russia. Russia is very, very interesting. And that's also in Russia. New Mexico, perfectly formed. I don't think the dates are necessarily all perfectly accurate as well. But the reality is, there's giants all around us in our ancient history. What happened to them? The system eradicated them. The system obliterated them. And the system tells us it did with the invasion of Canaan, again, by the Israelites and the extermination of all the indigenous people. Oh yeah, this is what the system does. It wipes out and then it replaces with a genetically altered version that is dumbed down. When you look to our DNA, there's a second chromosome fusion that is not natural. And there's also most of our DNA has been turned off. Why? Because they only left enough on to do basic work for them. And also to feel basic emotions that they could feed off of. Ravana is one of the Asuras who landed with his ship. Now, he kidnaps Sita. And again, Sita is the love interest of Rama. And I thought this depiction was kind of cool because, again, what do you see? You see a roundish saucer shape, and you see it's up in the air. And here you have Garuda. Garuda is an eagle type of being that is very intelligent and actually does work with Rama and Hanuman. And also others that are on the Devic path. We have a lot of allies. When you truly love, the divine feminine, when you love and show love and reverence for Mother Earth, or, what was Mother Tiamat, who is, righting herself from the attack that she suffered at the hands of these truly demonic beings, you will find that you have allies. You will find that maybe the poisonous snake won't look to bite you. Will go away the other way. You might run into a bear, and the bear will not show aggression to you, or a wolf, or a coyote. Again, because the mother energy, the divine feminine, can operate in any of the vehicles on this planet, and can attune to them, and they will understand too. They'll read your energy body, and they'll see that you're somebody that does have reverence and respect for the divine feminine. And so we do have a lot of allies, and these bird beings who are not, again, unintelligent, do help in the fight against the demonic entities. Do you ever wonder why the system purposely does toxify everything, does seem to enjoy spilling pollutants and toxins, and not just shortening the lives of humans, but of every being on the planet? It's because it truly is an AI system. And AI, again, that's Satan, the real devil, is jealous of us because, again, it doesn't have that organic component to us. And there's a love that's shared. This is why our Father in heaven, and not, our mother under our feet, which the indigenous people understood. Ravana, he knows how good these people are and how they will always offer to help people. So he shows himself as a beggar coming up to Sita, and then ends up kidnapping her when she lowers her guard. And so the rest of the story is basically him whisking her away off the mainland of India to Sri Lanka, which is separated by ocean, the Indian Ocean. And he takes her away. It's an abduction experience. This is an abduction. This is, in modern terms, this was a UFO abduction. And yet he wanted to keep her for himself because he's just, he's one of those type of guys. He's just selfish, self-centered. And he really wanted her to be his wife, to be, his queen, as he had landed and conquered this island and set up his kingdom there. And then the rest of the story is all about getting her back. And this is from a child's cartoon. You can see he's flying in something that looks to be kind of reptilian, isn't it? And she's yelling out for help. In the old days, people saw UFOs all the time, and they knew, they could discern, which ones were good and which ones were bad, which ones were the asuras. And this is Ram Setu. This is Rama's bridge. Guess what it's been renamed? Adam's bridge, as in Adam and Eve. This is what the system does. The Bible and the Abrahamic tradition is again a rehashing of everything that went before, used by the control system to basically build up the control system's argument for their position, and also the indoctrination of humanity to explain away things in biblical terms. So you always will think about things in biblical terms, which is the control system's terms.
I'm looking at this and, kind of feeling into it a little bit deeper as far as, what are the lessons? What are the lessons in this? And we look at Sita. I mean, she's very good, and when she's in her home and she's in this certain circle, she's completely protected. She's safe. He cannot steal her, but he uses her heart against her, and he acts like an old beggar outside of the circle, and he drops something, and she, because her heart is good, she can't help but to go help the old man. So she steps outside of the circle, and he grabs her. So to me, that's painting a picture of society as we know it now, where there's so many people that have a good heart and they just want to help, and they're going out there to help, but then they end up feeding the demonic system. Unbeknownst to them, they're doing the deeds of those that are really horrible, those that are holding us down, those that are controlling us. So I mean, there's a lot in this story.
Yes, absolutely. And we did live side by side with these Bigfoot-like beings, and the Bigfoot-like beings are the ones that made this bridge. This is what the Ramayana tells us, that Hanuman gathered his people, and they worked together. This Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the Monkey Man, whatever you want to use as a label, they worked together and they built this bridge. And then they invaded the island, and they got Sita back. That's the bottom line. And Ravana was dispatched in the story. So again, the Ramayana is a fabulous book. Again, telling us some of our actual history. Again, the guides have always said that we hope these stories help you to feel in and visualize what's really going on, because they're not exactly accurate. There's no story that's perfectly accurate, but there is a truth there, and it's up to us to use our discernment. Now, Sri Lanka, and Sri is all about, Sri is a reference to the goddess energy. So when you say Sri, it's a reference to Lakshmi. Previously just known as Lanka. You see 30 kilometers distance from the edge of India here over to Lanka. 30 kilometers is what that bridge is. And it's fascinating that we could see that this was a manufactured bridge, just like the stories tell us. As it says, Ramayana is not mythological. This is documentation of the real historiological events. Lord Ram, thought to be the incarnation of Sri Vishnu, walked on this earth, and then Krishna as well. And both obviously Ram worked with Hanuman all the time, and Hanuman was his right-hand man. And then again in the Mahabharata, thousands of years later, it's thought that Vishnu comes back as Krishna. Now, what we see as individuals, we see them as being distinct individuals. Cindy has been able to channel each, and she has had Ram come through, and she has also had Vishnu come through multiple times. And the biggest blessing, one of the biggest blessings in my life is the fact that after Cindy had first channeled Vishnu, she did experience a healing, because the guides had said at one point that it was like 50-50 whether Cindy was going to make it, or if she might not make it on this realm. After she channeled Vishnu, and when she did that, she was very, very sick. She started to heal, and it was a huge, huge blessing, because in our minds, we recognize the creator as Vishnu, and yet, if you go off to this realm, to a different realm, they'll call him something else. And even here on this planet, there are other names that Vishnu has been called by other tribes, other groups of people, but it's still the entity that we know as Vishnu, which is the real creator of this particular universe, and is very benevolent, very loving. And absolutely, we totally work to do our best to uphold that which was the intention of the Creator, and that is absolutely not the being that we know as Yahweh. Couldn't be anywhere farther from that being. In fact, again, when you see these books and these stories, they're giving you a lot of details about the war that has happened between the Devas and the Asuras, and is still going on to this day, and is not just here. It's not just here. If you want to listen to the channelings, an easy way to do it is on Heart's Home, as there is a list there of channeled messages, and there is also on Patreon as well. So here you can see, this is based in truth, absolutely. And if this bridge was made by beings that we might take to be Sasquatch, or relatives thereof, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, etc., monkey men.
Well, this was a lot of fun because when I look at it and I read into the energy, there's this understanding of the ether and how the ether works, and the little symbols that they put on it work with the ether, and it creates this bridge. So the understanding, the frequency, the etheric realm, the age, everything is very, very different.
Give a little more detail, because what he's doing is he's writing like sigils.
Yeah, he's writing sigils. So in a way, we would call it magic, but it's just him working with the ether. It's symbiotic. He knows what to do in the ether, and then the ether responds in an appropriate way. These beings had vast knowledge. They really knew how to live symbiotically with Earth without causing harm, but they also knew, how to do things around them. There's a lot of things in this realm that we don't know, that we are not taught, that would really benefit us to such a high degree. But it's deliberately kept from us. And this is what Mike and I seem to devote a lot of our time to, is helping to uncover those mysteries and those understandings so people can live a little more symbiotic life with Earth and maybe make their life just a little bit better, and take the shroud of secrecy away. And sometimes people have absolutely no one to talk to. Their whole family is, going to church, so they don't dare say a word. And that makes me really sad. But know that you are definitely a diamond in the rough, and your time is coming when you are going to shine, and just hang in there.
Absolutely. And then if you notice over here, when you're looking at Ram and his brother, Lakshman, they have this glow, and that's showing their aura. Again, it's showing the light, that golden light, again, that you might see depicted in paintings of Yeshua and other saints, because, again, they're giving off that frequency. They are completely dedicated to supporting life and others.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this energy is something that we all give off, and we were going to do a video soon about what does it mean exactly to be activated. Yeah. So we were going to go into greater detail about that, but these guys, they're showing that they are activated, and I would venture to say everyone that you can see in the picture is activated. They're just giving the light to those two beings right there. But Hanuman, he behaves as though he's activated. This guy, probably, you can't really hang around activated people and not be activated. So I can say that.
Yes, absolutely. And then here's the other thing too. They were very comfortable with beings that looked to be part human, part animal. And the reality is, many of our animals, again, that we have here on this planet, are brought here by very, very intelligent humanoid beings that are not, Homo sapiens, certainly not, but are what we would take to be some sort of hybrid or cross. But, the star pattern, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, is the common form throughout the universe. It doesn't mean all life is that way. It's just a very, very common form of life. Makes it easy to operate in this 3D realm. So, again, in these days, they were very used to all sorts of unusual beings interacting. You even see, did you notice the little squirrel over here? He's doing his part too, because, again, Mother Nature works with those that love Mother Nature, and is in alignment with it. I remember when I, just had enough of everything that was Abrahamic, and I was probably like 20-ish or so. I remember doing a ritual, because, again, that what he's doing right here is a ritual. He's inscribing an energetic pattern on the rocks that are going to help to float them and make them manageable to move. Again, understanding magic. Magic is using your intent to create some sort of change in the physical world just through intent, using your consciousness. Again, this is something that the dark control system does every day. They do it all the time. We see their magic rituals, halftime shows in the Super Bowl and concerts and everything. And yet they want to equate it all with witchcraft, at which, if somebody was found using their intent and using the natural order to their benefit, oh yeah, you'll be burned at the stake. This is because they want a monopoly on it. They don't want to be competing with all of us awakened. They can't have us awakened. So all they've done is created a version of Homo sapiens that they think, or what they're trying to do is create a version that will not be able to become activated, but we keep becoming activated. Why? Because, the mother and the father energies, the divine masculine and feminine, are working together to restore balance and harmony. And this is not our natural state of being. We are psychic. We have all sorts of powers in us, abilities in us that are going to come online. If you go, again, that system way, ultimately you'll be bombarded by frequencies and you'll have so many toxins flowing through you that you'll either succumb and no longer be on the 3D, or you'll be that dumbed down version that they can utilize to their advantage. But if you strive to stay free and clear and keep working towards that end, and again, that in my mind, I use the mantras as our root. That's our core. Because the mantras are given to us, again, by the beings that truly do love us, the ones in the Golden Age and Silver Age, and, that unfortunately in the Kali Yuga got separated from us in a physical sense, but, they're never really that far away. They're just on a different density. They're just at a different frequency. We fall to points where we cannot anymore see and sense them like we did. But I've always seen them, enter my room. I've woke up and seen many pillars of light inside my room and know that they are there. And your guides are always with you. They are always with you, even if you can't see them, because, the separation in the densities is too great. You can raise your frequencies up with these mantras. These mantras are direct connections to them. And of course, the real demons want you to think that if you're doing the mantras, you're connecting to demons. But then it's the demonic system that gives you that, because they've kept humanity in the dark for so long. So I can't think of anything that's stronger than using the Vedic mantras. And it is the foundation for us. Every attack is truly a spiritual attack when you get down to it. People that are suffering from what they might think is a cold, a flu, again, it's parasitic, which is demonic, because parasites are demonic and they're not a natural part of this realm when we're up into the higher frequencies. If you're in a gold or silver age, there are no parasites. They're just not around us. You won't have ticks on you. You won't have these type of entities. These entities are brought in here on purpose by the controllers. Again, the ones in the Vedic texts that we call the asuras. So yes, I would say mantras number one for me, and then after that, mind, body, breath. Qigong has been number two. Yoga is a great practice as well. And we utilize all of them, but we do use the mantras first and foremost. And when Zeke was passing on, I was doing Lakshmi's mantra to Zeke, and the guides came and made it an easy process for him to pass on. Absolutely, when there was a family member that back when I was a kid, again, we were Catholic, and the priest was doing last rites, and oh no, the feelings that I had were totally demonic coming in. And I don't mean to offend anybody if that offends you, but that is what I felt. And it was very scary and very dark, and I could feel the soul didn't appreciate those energies. As when we start to slip out of the body, then there's a much greater realization of what is truly, truly going on. Whereas when I was doing the mantras for Zeke with Lakshmi, it was gentle and it was easy, and he popped out with no problems very, very easily.
Mm-hmm. When you can bring in the frequencies, I think it definitely helps. But also, when people are sick, their guides and their angels are very close by. You really do have the ability to tap that energy more than most people when you're there. You know, a lot of people have clearly seen their guides and angels when they were close to death, and star family coming to visit them, you know, so you're up for a healing and you're up for a challenge, and they're going to come and they're going to help you. So there's ways and processes and things that you can do when someone is literally passing to help make that transition easier. And it's more about following the heart than anything, than following any type of dogma in a book. I wouldn't trust that. Knowing the mainstream religious system the way I do, I absolutely would not. And I know a priest would have the best of intentions, but I would not want one in my room, because I think he's just blindly using the information, and he has not thoroughly checked with his heart what the religion is teaching him. Or as Mike and I, we've gone through all of these belief systems, we weigh them in our heart and we feel them, and we go based on how we feel, and not based on what someone is telling us to do. And I guess that's the message that we're always trying to get across, is why do you feel the way you do about the thing? You know, is it because somebody just told you and now you're afraid, but you didn't really go in for a deeper inspection? And that's where it makes us sad when we see things go up on posts and people are just blindly saying it's a demon, take it down, burn it, crash it. Well, look a little bit, you know, is this person for humanity? Did they try to help humanity? Did they save, you know, the divine feminine somehow? Did they save the world from a certain biological attack? Maybe that's what they did to save the divine feminine, but people are just saying, knock it down. And that's just it. No looking into it.
Yeah, and Cindy has been able to contact Hanuman as well. In meditation, and I've had visions of him too, and he has supported us and guided us as well. He's still available. These beings are all available, and that's one of the things I wanted to get across, because when I was doing that ritual, just to more or less, you know, the mother, the divine feminine energy, as soon as I got done with that ritual, and it was the middle of the night, there was a knock on the door in the middle of the night. And what was there? A cat. A cat knocked on the door. It was just bizarre, but it was an immediate answer. Immediate. I don't know how many times, you know, I had, you know, sat in churches or, you know, done things in Christian circles and never got any sort of answers. It was just crickets, you know, or, you know, again, I could always feel the reality of Yeshua, because Yeshua is very real, and Yeshua is a guide to countless people and is one of our main guides as well. But the real Yeshua, you can find more of the real Yeshua in Essene circles, in Gnostic circles, in, you know, what the Cathars were looking at as well. All these different groups that were ultimately extinguished, and those lights were put out for so long by the church, by the Catholic Church. And again, when you look to the Protestant viewpoint on things in general, again, they just take the Catholic Church, the Catholic Bible, and, you know, they may omit a few pseudepigrapha books, but it's the same core. There's no difference in the core. You have 4 Gospels. You have all the rest of the same books. So, you know, there's no real difference in there. There were over 200 Gospels. There was many more books that were completely burned and obliterated by the system when they came up with their unified version of Christianity that they can use to control the hearts and the minds of the masses, because that's all it ever was about. And so, they created the dogma of blood sacrifice and original sin, when that had nothing to do with the original message of Yeshua at all. And again, Yeshua is in alignment with Ram, with Vishnu, with Sita and Rama and Hanuman. Yeah, absolutely. There is no dogma involved with those benevolent beings. They all work together.
And they all work together. Like, we should try a little bit harder to work with one another and understand that we all have off days, and sometimes you might have to step a little quieter around someone, but that doesn't mean that someone is bad. It just means maybe they need to rest. I'm guessing that's what's going on with the kitties here. They're awfully cute.
Well, again, they get you looking in one direction when they're going in a totally different direction. So they get you to think that the demons are angels and that the angels are demons. And again, it's the system. It's just the system. If it's about division and dogmatism, then it's not going to be given to you by the benevolent beings. It's just that simple. As always, guys, we look forward to your comments. Thank you so much for your support. Rama wants to say something.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm glad you listened to my story.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.